Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at DeathGarden. From the creators of Dead by Daylight comes a new asymmetrical 5-on-1 multiplayer shooter that pits 5 lightly geared runners with arm crossbows versus a heavily gunned hunter whose job is to eradicate the runners before they complete their objectives and ultimately escape. Now, I haven't played much of Dead by Daylight at all, to be honest, and that may one day change, but at the moment I can't really compare and contrast the two. All I can say is that the nature of one strong person versus 4 or 5 weak opponents is still there. It's everything else that is different, and that's fine. So let's talk presentation first. It's a decent looking game. I would imagine the engine that they use is similar to that of Dead by Daylight, so DeathGarden is not a graphical powerhouse, mind you, but it does have a solid art direction from what I can tell, and some decent tech under the hood so that it doesn't look ugly at the very least, and that's fine by me. Now on to the stuff that matters just a little bit more, the gameplay. You have 5 runners versus 1 hunter. The hunter kills, the runners mark the hunter, trip him up, revive each other, all the while trying to capture points so that they can escape and win. Both groups have a variety of tools and passive perks at their disposal to bring variety to encounters and to each match. Speaking of variety though, the game itself takes place on a floating island in the middle of a high-tech coliseum. The cool part about this is that every time you play, the map, the layout, the trees, the bushes, the objectives, and topography are all randomized, making the prospect of map knowledge something you have to constantly work on, which I personally feel suits the game's style. And speaking of style, the runners who are donned in Absolver-style masks are equipped with a small crossbow on their wrists that shoots different kinds of darts. The runner doesn't exist to hurt the hunter, but is there to mess with him and ultimately escape after capturing enough points, as I mentioned before. To accomplish this though, the runners have a variety of darts at their disposal depending on one of 3 classes they choose prior to the start of the match. The support runner helps their fellow runner through buffs and heals, the torment runner disables and stops the hunter's actions, and the control runner can stop the hunter and blind him. And by stop I mean a really jarring stun. Now obviously working together using all of what these 3 classes gives you is key to winning. That said, in my time with the runners, it always felt like no matter what we did, we couldn't keep the hunter engaged long enough to make any meaningful progression on the objective capture points, even with some solid team play, and here's why. The hunter. The single opponent, fully armed with guns, tech, and the ability to run and jump as high as he can fast. The hunter has no classes, but does give you the option to pick perks and weapons, much like the runners. As the hunter, you have to kill enough runners to win the match, at least 3. I'd like to say this is easier said than done, but herein lies the problem. Killing the runners so far seems a bit too easy, to the point where I was able to win a match as a hunter while not using key abilities in my kit, and overly relying on my turret and shotgun to mop up any runners within a 40-meter radius. Like the runners, the hunter can gather upgrade points to make his loadout more effective, but I never needed to do that in order to actually win. With a single button press, I could leap into the sky or run super fast, much like how the armor system in Crisis works, but all at once, which lets me cross the distance between 2 objectives doable in seconds. Meanwhile, the runners did all they could to trip me up, blinding me for a couple of seconds each time, stunning me for a second or 2, interrupting me during an execution. Nothing they did though could stop my turret and shotgun from finding them and finishing them. I wasn't even all that accurate, as my sensitivities at the time were incorrectly set. As of this writing, I feel that hunters disproportionately win. This isn't entirely the fault of balance, but is the struggle that comes with making 5 people work together in just the right way to beat one very strong person. That's why I personally feel like 1v1, 2v2, or 4v4 is the way to go in most competitive multiplayer games, because a group of 5 versus 1 feels like the group of 5 have it 5 times harder. However, with a couple of balanced passes and with the community knowing how to cooperate and communicate more effectively, we will surely see a more even spread of wins and losses for both sides of this competitive coin. I will say this though, even though there were times of frustration, it always felt exciting to outwit or hide from the hunter and do something to grab his attention away from your teammates, and likewise it was always satisfying to finally put down that one runner who was always blinding me. DeathGarden has some pretty big potential in terms of fun and staying power down the road. This is bolstered by the devs' promise on their website that reads as follows: support, gameplay first. DeathGarden embraces the no grind or pay to win philosophy. All new gameplay content, biomes, guns, abilities, and perks will be instantly available to everyone, so all players start a round with equal advantage. So no pay to win and no lockout of content or perks, of which I would assume also means new perks and gear would also remain free, at least I hope. So is DeathGarden currently worth your dime at the $30 asking price for the deluxe edition of the game, of which is a free upgrade currently as I write this? Well, first consider that the $30 that you're putting down is for the early access version of the game coming out in August. However, I do believe it does guarantee you into some closed beta testing down the road between now and then. Past that, yes, if you enjoy asymmetric multiplayer games like Dead by Daylight, and no, at the same time, if you don't and want to wait for more balanced changes or endgame content. Right now, the game in its entirety is just that, the game. No customization or things to unlock or buy or any vanity items or anything, just straight match-to-match fun. I don't see myself always playing it, but I will keep an eye on it as it is one of those few 5 versus 1 style of games to potentially get the formula right and not end up like Evolve. So now that you've gotten some of my thoughts and gameplay on DeathGarden, I'd like to know some of your thoughts on the game and its developer and Dead by Daylight down below. Have you ever played either game? If no, then why not? And if you enjoyed this review of DeathGarden, then leave me a like and I will see you next time on a new review or casual live stream. Thank you for watching. Catch you later.